everyone, and welcome to Regina and Friends Crime Chat. And tonight we have our friends with us. We got Crystal. Hey, girl, what you doing? Oh yeah, y'all hanging out
Hey,
with me.
how are you? How was
I'm
everyone's
doing
day?
good, doing good, doing good. How about you, Kel? How are you doing today? Good to see you.
Doing good. How about you?
Amazing. It's been a really great day. It's been a really great day. Had a lot of good quality time today. How about you, Sammy? How's your day going?
Pretty good.
It's
Pretty
good to see
good.
you. We
Lots
missed you
of rain.
yesterday.
Oh my lord, I was passed out cold.
I know you were.
Sorry.
Hey, we all got to get that beauty rest, girlfriend. We got to.
Yep. Yep.
um, so I guess you guys seen the title of the show. Tonight we are talking about the Brandon Raspberry case that um got solved by another child going to school and threatening to do the same thing to another child and then confessing to the homicide. A 7-year old. He was 7 when he committed the murder. And so to start out, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to play these news clips and get everybody caught up to speed on what I'm talking about.
Roll that footage.
You know what you just made me think.
I know. I know.
Oh, is this the wrong? No, this is the wrong one. Hold on. I did that wrong. Let's try this one more again.
Hi to everyone in the chat, by the way. Hi, Lo. Hi, Midwest. Miss Brazzy.
Hello, Midwest. It's Brazzy, low 12. It's good to
Paige.
see y'all.
I don't know who's there.
Yay.
So you mean to tell me the 7-year-old killed somebody and then a couple years later he threatened a kid at school?
Correct.
Yes,
Dang.
correct. Yep. Okay, let's try that one more again.
And it's just like when you think you've heard it all.
It'll be interesting to see how they investigated the scene at the time before they knew, obviously what came out now.
That's just
Mm.
crazy to me.
Yes.
So
Can y'all see the
crazy.
screen?
Yes.
It's tiny for me, but
Okay. All right. Well, we got to restart it because, like, hold on.
Well, I will say this. When Regina mentioned this to me, I couldn't believe my ears. And I really was starting to wonder if that was just a joke. She was playing on me or something. And she was like, no, this is real. I was like, no freaking way.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
definitely different than the average. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
so, so
Let's finish.
unexpected.
Let's finish. Yes, it is. Let's finish this clip for our audience real quick, and then we'll go straight into it. Okay. Just one
Sounds
second.
good.
Let's finish the video for the audience, and then we'll get into it.
Is there supposed to be volume?
Yeah, we're
Y'all aren't
Regina,
hearing
we're not hearing
anything?
that. No.
No.
Okay, hold on just a second. What's going on here?
We'll just keep chatting while you figure it out.
No wonder y'all kept talking while I was playing it. I was like, what's
Right.
going on here?
We
Yeah,
have not heard it.
Yep. We were like, any minute now.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
saying roll that footage no more.
Hold on just a second. I know what's going on. I figured it out. I see what I did. Here we go. Let's try this
Much
again.
better.
Sorry, you guys, technical difficulties. Okay, let's try this one more time. No wonder y'all were like, I was sitting there trying to figure out why do they keep talking over the video?
No, we're all
That's
good.
great. I'm sorry, you guys. No
No
wonder. Okay, here we
worries.
go.
We begin tonight with a story that so many will find hard to grasp. A 10-year-old boy has admitted to killing a man when he was just 7 years old.
And because of his age, he's not going to be criminally charged. Now, this case is out of Gonzales County, about an hour east of San Antonio. And on April 12th, the Gonzales County Sheriff's Office says that the principal from the Nixon Smiley Independent School District called them.
That principal said that a student threatened to assault and kill another student on a bus. And in talking to that child, the district told the sheriff's office the boy made a comment about shooting and killing a man 2 years ago.
Investigators now say that man was 32-year-old Brandon Raspberry. He was found dead here at the Lazy J RV Park in Nixon on January 18th, 2022. Raspberry had been shot in the head. After the child's alleged threat on that bus, he was taken to a child advocacy center to be interviewed. It was there that Gonzales County investigators say the boy shared information that was consistent with firsthand knowledge of the homicide of Brandon Raspberry. According to the sheriff's office, during that interview, the child said he was staying with his grandfather who lived in the same RV park. He got a 9mm gun out of his grandfather's truck, went to Raspberry's RV, saw him sleeping, and shot Brandon Raspberry in the head. He also said he fired a round into a couch in the RV and then put the gun back in his grandfather's glove box. The 10-year-old told investigators he did not know Raspberry and had no reason to be angry with him. He had only seen him walking around the RV earlier that day. Raspberry moved into that RV park 4 days before he was killed. On April 12th of this year, investigators say they found the gun used in this murder at a pawn shop in Seguin. The boy told investigators his grandfather pawned it.
Now, after that interview, the 10-year-old was brought here to San Antonio and placed on a 72-hour emergency detention for psychiatric evaluation and treatment. After that, he was booked on charges for making that threat on the school bus. But because of the boy's age at the time of the murder, he cannot be criminally prosecuted. Texas Penal Code says a child does not have criminal culpability until they reach the age of 10. So since the boy was 7 at the time of the murder, no criminal charges will be filed in this case. Now, late this afternoon, I spoke with Brandon Raspberry's father, Kenneth, about getting the news that his son's suspected killer is only a child.
I was shocked, very shocked. This wasn't the person that me, my wife, her oldest daughter, this isn't anywhere the suspect that we thought it was.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce
Okay, so that's the main headline story on that. Now I would like, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Now if it's okay with you guys, I would like to share something else with you on what they mean whenever they say that this little boy can't be charged for this homicide. Texas Penal Code, Penal 8-07, age affecting criminal responsibility. It's got for juveniles that are 15. But down here at the bottom is the one that matters. Section 7, subsection E. A person who is at least 10 years of age, but younger than 15 years of age, is presumed incapable of committing an offense described by subsection A/4-5 or -4-5, other than offenses under a juvenile curfew ordinance or order. This presumption may be refuted if the prosecution proves to a court by the preponderance of the evidence that the actor had sufficient capacity to understand that the conduct engaged in was wrong at the time the conduct was engaged in. The prosecution is not required to prove that the actor at the time of engaging in the conduct knew that the act was a criminal offense or knew the legal consequences of the offense. Subsection D, right above that. Notwithstanding subsection a person may not be prosecuted for or convicted of an offense described by any of the other ones, murder or anything. Subsection A/4 or 5, that the person committed when younger than 10 years of age. Cannot be prosecuted for it under 10 years of age, no matter what they do. And in this case, that what they did just so happens to be cold blooded, premeditated, unprovoked homicide. What do you guys think about that?
That's kind of crazy.
I have a question, Regina. Did you happen to
Yes.
look up the statute for the threatening of killing the juvenile that he just threatened? What he's facing for that charge, because he is 10. So I mean, he should be held responsible for that, correct?
I
The
did
threatening.
not, but he is 10 years of age. So,
But wouldn't they take into account, like, and I'm just being devil's advocate at the moment. So if he is brought to court for the offense that just happened with the other juvenile in threatening, and he is admitted to killing this man, although he cannot be prosecuted, couldn't the judge take that into account and at least give him the
the judge,
highest?
yes, that is possible. It is possible for the judge to hold him accountable for this threat, um, and give him the maximum amount of time for it. But let me look that up.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what the time was, like what he's looking at for time. Because the thing that scares me about this story is that this kid will probably move away. He'll probably change his name. And if he is just roaming around, sitting next to kids in school or, working at McDonald's, who's to say just because you walk in front of him, he hasn't picked you? Like we're all, you know what I mean? That's what I'm scared of. Is he can change his name. He can go to a different neighborhood and he can fit in because he fit in for the last 2.5 years. So, and
I
no one
think
knew.
I think it's even scarier that he did it for no reason. There was no confrontation, no altercation, nothing happened. He didn't even know the man. That
Exactly.
is scary.
And that just shows like his intent. He doesn't even have to know you. Nothing.
Right, and that's a heavy gun to have shot it 2 different times. I mean, just imagine the things, you know, that he
Well,
saw that day and then not to tell anyone, and I don't know,
hmm
kinda sounds sociopathic to me, but
and he was sleeping. Brandon was
and he was
sleeping.
sleeping, yes.
Couldn't even fight.
Mm-mm.
And he just watched him walk around the park earlier. It's
And
it's just
he knew enough to put the gun back away so that he
yeah.
wouldn't get caught.
He
Sounds
knew
like
enough.
mature decisions.
he knew enough not to bring it up until he was 10. I
Right.
mean, he didn't even talk about it until what, last week, the week before?
Thank God that the pawn shop still had it. I'm kind of surprised that, they still had it, but thank God they
When
were
did,
able to recover it to confirm it.
yeah.
I want to know why Granddaddy got rid of that gun.
I
Or
was thinking that too. I thought, God, that was kind of convenient, right?
Or when.
and from what I understand, this juvenile fired 2 rounds of it. So Granddaddy
Yeah, and
had
you
to have
didn't
known that
notice
gun
that
had been
any
fired.
bullets, you didn't notice any bullets were gone. Most people with their pistols, they know how much ammo they have in them, or you would kind of question where those 2 bullets went. Maybe
What I
not.
want to know is, did this kid get car keys? Did this kid grab the car keys and unlock this car and get in his glove box and go sneak into this man's house, okay, and end his life? And we know he put the gun back in the glove box, the pew pew. We know he put it back in the glove box, right?
Yep. He did that
So
before he went back in his house.
yeah, and went to bed and slept. Went to bed, you
Right.
guys. I want to know.
Now, I wonder if his clothes had any, form of body fluid on them because of the blowback. You would think that
Right. I
they would have
wonder.
been.
I wonder how far away he was. What did he
Hmm.
say? He was at the door,
Okay, I'm
or
not
did they not say?
who.
I
The
don't know what
What?
he
boy.
said.
The boy when he
I thought
when
he
he
said
committed the
something.
crime.
He put it to his head. I thought that's
Oh,
what he
okay.
said.
He
So
shot
yeah,
him.
you would think
He
that.
executed him. He executed him
Okay.
while he was asleep.
Well, yeah, I knew that where he did it, but I didn't know how
Like,
close up he was. Like his clothes
What I
had to
want to
be
know,
messy, you would think.
what I want to know is, where is accountability for, well, I think that the family of Brandon Raspberry would like to know the same thing. I actually have their opinion on it if you guys would like to see real quick what the family wants done.
yes,
Sure.
please.
Yeah.
Our top story now at 5, a family demanding legislative change after a 10-year-old allegedly confesses to killing one of their loved ones. We first told you about the story on Friday. Gonzales County deputies say the boy shot and killed Brandon Raspberry in 2022. But because of Texas law, the boy will not be facing any charges. KENS 5 reporter Zach Briggs spoke with Raspberry's mother, who is determined to continue fighting for her son despite the legal hurdles.
I feel that justice is just but not served.
Charlene Hadley always had faith that one day she'd learn who killed her son, Brandon Raspberry, but she never imagined it would be someone so young.
Look at this one, 7, almost 8. It's unbelievable.
That 7-year-old is now 10. The Gonzales County Sheriff's Office announced last week the boy told authorities he grabbed a gun out of his grandfather's truck, entered Raspberry's trailer, and pulled the trigger as he was sleeping. Officials say the confession came after the boy threatened to kill a student while on a bus.
I don't have hate in my heart for him. I hope he gets the help that he needs.
And now with this petition, Raspberry's family urging Texas lawmakers to amend Penal Code Section 807 so that children under 10 can be charged with crimes like murder.
I want this law changed because kids nowadays, they know how to use guns.
The law just is not equipped to handle something like this.
UTSA political science chair John Taylor says it's unlikely lawmakers would vouch for such legislation, but he believes it would reignite debate about the mental state of children when it comes to crime.
The idea of mental capacity and the idea that essentially does an 8-year-old, a 9, 10-year-old really understand what they're doing here.
Meanwhile, Brandon Raspberry's brother Jonathan Fodgick is hopeful the petition leads to helping other families across Texas.
Getting this petition signed and taken care of, we could prevent this from ever happening again to somebody.
Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
I agree with the family. Well, I mean, as far as changing the legislation.
Sammy. Oh, that is so sweet of you. Congratulations to the new members who got gifted memberships. Welcome to the Crime Chat family. Saturday, we are going to be having a members only show and just go over anything and everything we want to talk about and maybe even play some trivia. So I hope you guys join us for that. Welcome to the team.
I'm at a loss for words on this case here. I'm just at a loss for words completely and entirely.
This is the problem I have with this. This is the problem I have with this case. I'm going to tell you guys what I think on it real quick, and then I want to see where y'all stand as far as along the lines of accountability. This little boy knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to end another human being's life when he did this. Okay. And now he's 10 and he thinks he's big and bad because of it. And you know what? He thinks he's big and bad. He used it as a threat against another person. He was going to do the same thing to this kid that he did to that man 2 years ago. I mean, that to me proves he knew exactly what he was doing. What do you guys think? Do you think that since they can prove that it was premeditated, do you think he should be held accountable just like an adult? Because let me tell you what's going to happen if he's already threatening to do the same thing to other people. Whatever I couldn't find it. I did, Lord. I wish I would have thought about it before the show to find it, because sometimes it takes me a little while to do my research and find the old codes. But however long he is going to be locked up, is that justice? I mean, they can hold him until he's 18, I guess. They can lock him in a mental facility. His parents could until he's 18. But here's the scary thing. If Grandpa knew and Grandpa got rid of that gun, and this, I'm not saying he did. I'm not accusing him. I question it, but I'm not accusing anyone. If Grandpa knew what he did and got rid of that gun, that means that he helped this little boy not take accountability for what he did. And now that the state won't hold him accountable for what he did, what message is this sending to every other kid that's under 10 years old that don't like someone or this, that, or the other? If there's no accountability for what they're going to do, what's going to keep them from doing whatever they want, such as this?
We
Where's the
agree.
accountability?
I think that each one should be handled individually. I think, like you're saying, premeditation, but then I also think he knew enough to put that gun away. They know enough to
Yep.
cover up. I
Yep.
I don't think an age can stipulate that kind of
Maturity,
mindset.
criminal
Yeah,
maturity.
yeah. You can have a 20-year-old that's not that mature. I don't think age necessarily determines that. Probably need
So
more
much,
detail.
so much has to go into evaluating a child as
Right.
to their on every level for them to make any kind of determination of what they're dealing with. It's just crazy.
Well, do you know
I,
what the law is providing for? Do you know what do you want to hear the public side of it? This is the public side of it. There is a little boy who can't even be named that has committed first degree, cold blooded, premeditated murder. They can't even release his name to know he's living next door to someone. He is going to get away with this scot free, and he could end up being your neighbor next, so to speak, and you
Right.
won't even know it.
and he'll reoffend,
Right.
in my opinion. I think that this is a case of nature, not versus nurture. Like, I think, I mean, this is
And
just
violence usually escalates. Where does it go from here? You know, if
right.
he's already at this point, you know, if you get it, I mean, like kids do, you get into an argument or a fight with somebody else, like he did on the bus. He's already at 100. You know, I don't. Where else
Well,
does that go other than reoffending?
imagine he didn't even have any ill will towards Brandon. He didn't even know him. So imagine what he would do to somebody that he didn't like.
Right. And no consequence. He said no
So
consequence of his actions.
Right.
What lessons learned? None.
I think that there would have been more hope for him had he been caught at 7 and got treatment and got help. But because he's been able to not be held accountable, I mean, I think that's a
so
problem.
we have Connie S in chat asking about kind of what we're talking about. She just got in. Hi, Connie. Um,
Hi.
so Regina, would you very quickly recap? It's simple,
Yes.
but
Thank you,
it's
Sammy.
something. Oh my gosh, I just can't get over this.
Okay, so here's the deal. Wow, what a phrase. Here's the deal. Here's what happened. Brandon Raspberry was killed over 2 years ago. His case went cold because they didn't have a lead on suspects or anything. Fast forward to over 2 years later, and this little boy is on the school bus with another kid and tells him he's going to end his life the same way he did a man 2 years ago. So cops come in, talk to the little boy. He describes it down to a T, the crime scene, what he did. Okay. Completely solves Brandon Raspberry's cold case, homicide cold case. And now here we are in Texas. No one under 10 years of age can be held accountable or prosecuted for their crimes. He can be charged and convicted for his threatening of another student under the juvenile penal code, but under Texas Penal Code 8-07, I do believe it was subsection 7 or section 7 subsection D. No one under 10 years old can be held accountable in the state of Texas.
You know, I have a question. I'm wondering how many people were living there because it looked like an RV park. So, how many people were there? Because the pictures that you see on the news clips, it looks desolate right now. So, and this is in January. So, I'm just curious of how many people were actually in the park and that were questioned in his homicide.
Yes,
And then,
Connie. I'm sorry, Crystal, 1 second. Yes, Connie, he was 7 years old whenever he did this. No, that never had any kind of disagreement with the neighbor never even looked at him cross-eyed. A completely unprovoked murder. This little boy got in his grandfather's truck. I said car earlier, I apologize for that. Got into his grandfather's glove box of his truck, got out the weapon, went in this man's house, fired 2 rounds, one of them straight into his head, the other one bounced off the couch. Little boy describes firing into the couch. I mean, everything. Come to find out, ballistics come back from grandfather's gun are a match to the homicide. The gun had been pawned. They had to hunt it down. Grandfather got rid of the gun. And this little boy committed this offense. And by Texas law, cannot even be held accountable. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Crystal. Go ahead. I apologize.
no, that's okay. And the other question I had was I'm wondering if, you know, I know 7 is young, but were there prior warnings like before this? Like, was he argumentative? Was he aggressive with other kids? You know, we're not going to know these questions, the answers to these questions, but I'm curious, like, was he abusive to animal? You know, anything like that that could have not prevented this, but, you know, maybe understand it. Like, did he just decide that day? Was it something he'd been thinking about, you know?
Well, according to the little boy, he watched the neighbor all day.
Right. But I mean,
So,
just
yes, absolutely. It was, I mean, he thought about this, but I know what you're saying too. Were there any other neighbors, and did the neighbors have any animals left in the trailer park whenever he lived there?
right. Or was there animals, you know, like, was there any like kicking small animals, or like were they finding squirrels, you know, because things like that. I'm just curious if, you know, there was any warning signs. Or was he just like a cool cucumber through it? Because he kind of appears like he was a cool cucumber after, by going home and putting the gun away and then going to bed and not saying a word about it until he was 10.
I just can't get over it. I can't believe it. I'm like, and don't you think that a child seeing that sort of a thing would actually traumatize them in such a way that that would have come out immediately or at that moment? I am beside myself. I don't believe this. And I'm wondering, people, there are reasons why you don't allow your children to watch scary movies and murders and things like that. Like, what was his upbringing for him to think that this was okay?
Right. It's really, I mean, how did he come home and clean himself up or whatever he needed to do? It seems like we're missing pieces of this story,
Yeah, like
I
in
where,
my opinion.
I completely agree with you, Connie. S. Connie S. said, "I'm sorry. He should be held accountable." That's so wrong.
Yeah.
I agree, because it's just setting a precedence, like you said, Regina, for other kids to not have to, you know, I mean, it's hard. This one's hard. Like, it's unfathomable almost.
Well, it is.
I mean, he just told a story like he was talking about his weekend, you know, and it's 2 years ago, never said boo. And again, when did that gun get pawned?
Yes, John D. Yes, the gun was owned by the grandfather, and it was actually to a pawn shop at one point after the homicide. I don't know when directly, but it was sold to a pawn shop after this happened. The weapon was sold to a pawn shop, and they had to hunt it down, and ballistics showed that it was the murder weapon. John D
And I
says, "Well,
agree in most, yeah.
the granddad should face charges." Absolutely, I think that yes,
Well,
yes,
they would hold us accountable if one of our kids did that with our gun, would they not?
Exactly.
you would think, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
look what just happened, you know? I can't even think right now. You know what I'm talking about, and the parents were held accountable for this.
The
Crumbly.
Trumblies,
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
the Michigan school shooter, right? That his parents.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. But here's the whole thing: even if the grandparents, or even if the grandfather is held accountable, it's going to be some weapons violation for not having the gun secured, and that's going to be the end of it.
Right.
And that's, I mean,
But
that
I,
might be what, a class 3 felony, I think, in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, or a
I mean,
misdemeanor,
there's
maybe. I'd
still the
have to look it up.
problem of this child. Like, what is there as far as dealing with this? What do you do?
you know what I wonder? And this is kind of a creepy thought. I wonder how many nights before this did he take that gun out and think about
Blondie, hey
using it?
girls, good to see you. Sorry, Crystal, go ahead. Y'all, go ahead and continue. Crystal, give me 1 second, but go ahead. I'm listening.
I just said, imagine how many times he possibly could have taken that gun out, held it, and thought about killing someone before he actually did it.
Minimally, there should be something in the juvenile justice system. I can't imagine where a child of any age would not at least be held while they're a juvenile.
I agree. I agree. And in some states, I believe they keep you, it's even till 21 or 25, depending on the charges.
Oh, yeah, for much less than this. I mean, this
Yeah.
is, like Regina said, I mean, I we don't even know, and not that you want the name, but I mean, this isn't even somebody that they can release the name.
Right.
You
And he'll change it regardless. I bet you they change his name because, they're not going to want that to ever come out. And all
Right.
it takes is one of the kids from school, and they don't even have to say it now. They could say it 2 years from now. So I think they'll change his name.
Yes, John D. I do believe that would apply. John D said an unsecured weapon that a child could have access to is called gross negligence.
But none of this brings back Brandon.
No.
Nothing. It was senseless, pointless, and it's like a slap in the face to him,
Where's
even
the
after death.
justice? Where's the
And
justice for his family?
mm,
Where's the justice for him? I mean, how awful is it to be asleep in your bed, not bothering anyone, not have provoked anyone?
and this is
Wow,
I just
you know what?
and this is
Saying
2
that
years
just made
later.
me think.
For 2 years, they had no idea who did it. The
The
torture, that
case
must have
went
been.
cold. The case went cold.
It's torture.
But can you imagine all of the thoughts that that family has had for 2 years, wondering who would ever want to harm their family member and eliminate them, and then to come to find out it's this.
well, and that's where I think that if the grandfather did know and then he got rid of the gun, he's just as accountable because this kid's been walking around. He already, and if he did know, he knew he killed one man. Who's to say he wouldn't go
Maybe.
and kill anybody else? I'm not saying he knew, but I'm just saying, like, I kind of want to know when that gun was pawned.
Yeah.
How is this even possible, though? How is it possible to commit first degree premeditated homicide and not have to face any consequences for your actions? How is
Well,
it possible? Well, it's possible because of Texas law,
right.
Penal Code 8-07, Section 7, subsection D, notwithstanding subsection A. A person may not be prosecuted for or convicted of an offense described by the other subsection, which is everything from first degree homicide to anything else. Okay. So nothing falling under that subsection can they be charged for, or that the person committed when younger than 10 years of age. They don't even have laws to deal with someone committing offenses under 10 years of age. So apparently, if you live in Texas and you're under 10 years of age, you can do anything you want legally, and there are no repercussions for your behaviors or your actions. None.
Now, there's a greater chance that it's going to be leaning towards institutionalizing him for however long. I mean, I can't see them doing absolutely nothing with this child, because if nothing else, he needs to understand how very, very real and very serious this really is. And you
And
can't just allow him back out in society.
I was going to say, I think he's a public threat.
Right. I worked for
Absolutely agree.
facilities out here. We had lots and lots of property out here and different homes on the properties. And we took in children out there and took care of them. And some of them were criminals and they were being given treatment, therapy, and they stayed there for years, but they were criminals. And it wasn't a prison, so to speak, but each house had an age limit. So they were in with their own age. I just don't see them allowing him just to be out in public, without some kind of recourse here. I just don't see it.
Well, if they don't hold him responsible for the threatening to the what he unaliving what he was doing, then his next victim, the blood will be on their hands. Because this is one of those things that people are going to look back 5 years from now if he reoffends, which I think he will, if he's out and able to. We'll look back and say, well, this could have been prevented if we did this. We need to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
And
another
that's why,
question I would ask too: did anybody hear these gunshots? I mean, it's kind of amazing that he got out of there and got back home, put the gun back away. I mean, obviously, this was a couple years ago, but I mean, nobody heard the gunshots either. I don't know enough back
that's a
then,
very good question because from everything I understand in this case, he literally lived right beside the man.
which again makes me question. I don't. I'd need more details.
But getting those details is like trying to pull teeth from, let's see, a turtle.
Right. Especially with a child.
Because it's all, I mean, first of all, he can't even be prosecuted for it. Second of all, he's protected. His name, his identity, everything is protected. So, I mean, because he's a minor. I mean, really, it's kind of terrifying to know that this kid is going to be, living somewhere and nobody have a clue of what he's done. I mean,
Not
I don't know.
kinda. It is. It
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say
terrifying.
we agree.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
And your kids are going to
Blondie,
school with this kid and, your kids, grandkids, whoever. I mean,
And he could
again,
just walk into anybody's house at any time, whoever he chose for whatever day and whatever reason, and just end it. And then go back home and go to sleep.
Blondie
and
had an excellent Blondie had an
sorry.
excellent question. Regina, is he being evaluated? Do we know? We do know that there was a 72-hour evaluation on him before he could go into the juvenile facility. Now, I don't know if he has been released from the juvenile facility, and those documents are impossible to obtain because he's a juvenile. But I do know that the judge they cannot hold you indefinitely when you're a juvenile. The judge has to reevaluate your being held every 10 days before you go to trial or before your uh before your hearings for the crime
Now,
you
do you think, though, that they would have a medical professional who's in the healthcare field that would be able to diagnose him with something that's going to cause them to need to hold on to him in a hospital or some kind of institution?
if the Department of Human Services is not involved, the parents are not mandated to get psychiatric help for him. It all depends on the parents or if CPS gets involved.
I wonder what the
And
parents think of this.
at this point, I'm praying CPS is involved because apparently the little boy has access to firearms.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Well,
it seems like a
we're
no-brainer, but I don't know.
Was he living with Grandpa? Was he visiting Grandpa? What was the deal, and where were the parents? I'm
It
just
said
curious.
visiting in the
Visiting.
newscast. It
The
said
other thing
visiting.
too, I mean, how unlucky could you be? Brandon just moves in there 4 days before. Was your door unlocked? I mean, obviously he got into the residence, got back out. It wasn't it the employer that he didn't show up for work for the next few days, and they were the ones that contacted. It just seems funny that nobody knew anything happened. Again, I think we're missing something here, and I know it's impossible to get, but I'm just saying, thinking
Well,
out
and
loud.
that's how one of the reasons I would like to know how busy that place was in January of 22, because um, they showed video of it today, and it looks very desolate. There was like one RV there, because this was an RV um,
Park
camp
where people
park.
paid to,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So
That's a great
Yes.
point.
Connie S says he is a danger. He's a danger to society. Absolutely, Connie. Absolutely. And I think that is an utter letdown by the system for this to be allowed without repercussion, and the public be endangered by the fact that they can't even release this boy's name. They can't even release his name. He was under 10 years old. He knew what he was doing, though. I mean, he thought this through, you guys. A 7-year-old child completely thought it through and ended another human being's life, put the weapon back, and then cleaned up, did whatever, and went to bed. Like nothing ever happened. And there's no accountability for it. None. He can't even be prosecuted. If he can't be prosecuted, then that sets no legal precedence for anyone else to be prosecuted for it, except for, the gross neglect charges that are possible against the grandfather, unless the grandfather says, well, I had it in a locked glove box. It was locked. I mean, in that case, what can you do if you have a child like that and you have everything under lock and key? You know what I mean?
Now, Regina, I have a question. Is there a
Okay.
petition? I know the family was talking about that. Have you found any information
They are
about that?
directly petitioning the legislation and the governor of Texas.
Is there anything that we can do
Um, well,
if anybody wanted to?
I guess we could petition like I did for the Audrey Cunningham's law. We
I
could
think that's
petition.
that's a good idea.
Yep.
I'll sit down tonight. And I'll write it out and I'll upload it tomorrow to Twitter, so you guys be on the lookout for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
It's the most proactive thing we could possibly do in this moment with
Right.
this thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like enough to not be able to do anything.
Right.
well, Harris, we love your good nature and gentle spirit and your optimism. He says, lock your doors. Isn't that the basement dweller's slogan? I say, go out, say hi to your neighbors, make some baked goods for everyone on your block. Much more useful than locking your doors.
Oh, a lot.
You
Oh,
guys, if y'all haven't, please hit that like and subscribe.
I
Excuse
have
me.
to agree, though. Good neighbors are hard to come
Absolutely,
by.
Connor.
And when you do have good neighbors, you should be grateful. It's always good to have people looking out for you.
I have very good neighbors. I like my neighbors. I live in a pretty new, it's a subdivision. Um, and I have everyone surrounding me has kids just like I do. So our
No, that
kids play
helps.
together. I'm known as the popsicle mom. I hand out popsicles during the summer to all the kids, and stuff like that. And one of these days, I know the neighbor girl is going to eventually chase my cat down and rub him, love all over him and rub all over him. So pet him. Um, but
Are you
my
gonna?
cat.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry, I completely got off topic. No, go ahead, Crystal.
I was just going to ask you if you were going to open the phone lines and let some people call in and see what they have to say about how they feel on this.
I think that's an excellent idea,
Very
as a
good.
matter of fact. Let's see here. Let me get this up and running. Let me make it to where no one can see anyone's information first. Okay.
Thank you, Lo. I got it wrong.
Okay. Get back over
Yeah,
here.
hi to everybody in chat. Everybody new too. Welcome.
Yes, it's so good to have you here, and we're so glad you joined us. So here's the phone number, 870-266-6949. You guys call in. We want to know what you think. Now, and I have another question for you on top of this. What do you guys think that the punishment should be? What do you think the punishment should be for this?
That's a good question. I think minimal juvenile um, incarceration until they're of age. I don't know what kind of rehabilitation that takes. I don't know. We don't know enough information about what his, um, if there is some kind of disorder. It makes me question both ways. It makes me think, he was so free and open about telling the story. They said the child forensic investigator, he gave detail. I'm guessing maybe I was even thinking the bullet in the couch, since they're mentioning that maybe that was something that wasn't released to the public. And him knowing that was enough to confirm he was in there. I don't know that that's true. I'm just saying that's what my mind was thinking. So the fact that he was so open and did tell the story, does that mean because he was that mature to tell the story, or he was that immature and oblivious to the situation? I guess I could kind of see it both ways. I don't know.
Well, I think that he was bragging about killing someone, threatening another little kid with death, which is what the reports are saying. He threatened
Right.
another child to kill him, just like he did that guy a couple of years ago. And then the cops were like, "Wait, what do you mean? The person you killed 2 years ago?" And the little boy's like, "Well, two years ago, I went and I did this," and explained to them down to the last detail what he did, and it completely fit the crime. Hey, Nana, good to see you, beautiful. You elegant woman.
You
Okay,
got the
so if
phone
guys,
lines turned on?
we have the phone lines turned on. Call it 870-266-6949. We want to hear what you guys think. What do you think the repercussions should be for this? And do you think that the law needs to change? I think it does.
I'd like to know about prior acts. Any of his prior acts, relationship with other children, adults, teachers. I mean, we're not going to know those things, but those are the things that, like, were their warning
That would be in
signs.
his school records, I would assume, and
Yeah,
any kind of evaluations that have been done on this child by healthcare professionals. But once again, that's information we can't get our hands on. The family
right.
would have to say, "Here you go, this,"
Hmm.
and we don't
But,
even know his name.
right.
We don't even know his name. He's protected.
Well, I think that he needs to go to a juvenile facility and possibly um, definitely get some therapy, find out if it's a metabolic thing where, you know, or a disorder, or if he was just born that way.
And I know it's
Because,
not the same, but it reminds me of wasn't it a little boy that shot the teacher?
yes, and he was 6, wasn't he?
And he was 6, yeah. I know that person that, was in that video was saying that the law just can't really, handle a situation like this, or it's not up to speed. I mean, that should just tell you that it needs to be, because you can even
Right.
think of more than one, for instance, that a child is capable of this. So
Well, and if it isn't, it should be, because kids can't be doing this. You know what I mean? They should be playing with basketball or swimming or, playing something, video games, fishing, I don't know, riding your bike. You shouldn't be thinking about killing somebody. I don't think that's good. I think that's troubling. There's something not right there, either
Well,
genetically or medically.
obviously, this is the thing that gets me. Obviously, there was some kind of gun training for this little boy. He had weapons training. Now, I don't know who trained him. I don't know how they trained him. But I mean, let's face it. Someone taught him how to use it.
Thank
Someone
you,
taught him how to
Regina. I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that same thing. I mean, this is pretty sophisticated for a 7-year-old.
So are you going to tell me that the person that taught this 7-year-old to use the gun didn't teach him not to point it at people because he could hurt them or kill them? And are we expected to believe that? I wouldn't believe that for 1 second. My father,
Mm.
y'all know, I'm a guns advocate for legal people to have guns, not criminals. Okay, I stand for people that are law-abiding citizens to have guns to protect their home and their family. Okay, or hunt with. Okay, but here's the thing: I don't advocate for criminals to have weapons at all. I'm not. And the first time you have to use a gun to commit a criminal act, I guess, and that makes you a
Mm.
criminal.
Though, if he wanted to do this and he thought about it and he went to the means that he went to, he could have used a spoon or a fork, or he could have used a log from outside. If he wanted to do what the end result was, he didn't necessarily need to get that gun. He could have done it in several ways.
I
Well,
have a question. I have a question, and it's especially for hunters. A lot of the hunters do bring their children hunting, and I wonder how young that you bring your children to go hunt. I'm not a hunter, so I don't know. I know that my grandson goes with his other grandparents. He's almost 10 and he started going last year. I'm not aware of him actually using a gun, but I do now wonder how much does he know and what if they taught him because I was not there. And I wonder if there's hunters out there, you know, are you bringing your children and how young are they and what are they learning? Are they actually handling a gun? I'm just curious.
well, my father took me hunting when I was young. He took all of us children hunting when we were young. But we weren't allowed to touch a firearm until we were 12. And
Te-
when we were 12, he kept all the guns locked up in a safe. He kept them locked up in a safe, okay? My father, when he took us hunting, he taught us how to hunt and then he taught us how to use a gun. But we were older whenever we were actually taught how to handle a weapon safely and stuff. We were
Right.
12. That was the
Now,
I was,
age.
another point I want to make. I had a child. By the time she was 2, I had spent 8 hours putting all these locks on my cabinets because she got into everything. Um, One day, it didn't matter what it was, where it was, you could not allow her to see you doing it because after one time, she had it down pat. So even them observing this stuff I consider it kind of dangerous at a young age because they are watching.
I don't know. I'm just, I,
Hannah,
I,
go ahead, Crystal.
no, I'm just gonna, I think that he was born this way, and I think he has, um, I think he was intent. I wouldn't be surprised if he had done other things, and I wouldn't be surprised if he'd been thinking about it for a while. But I also believe that he would have used anything that was available because he wanted to see what it was like.
Nana's
I bet.
Dragonfly said, the health care, mental health, not enough to help us. Sorry, but I worked in that field.
Yeah.
And
I
I tend to agree
agree.
with that. Well, I'm not going to say that there aren't mental health issues that make people violent, because we all know that there are many different things in the mental health field that can make someone have a violent nature. But I don't think we can chalk all mental health up. I don't think we can chalk it up all to mental health whenever someone premeditates and
Right.
does this. This is not someone flying off the handle or having a grudge against someone. This is someone just doing it because they could.
Well, and the other thing that I would advise is that they look at
Yes, Nana.
thyroid, metabolic things, thyroid levels, because when they're off, it can really
We're getting a
affect.
call.
Call from
John D.
to accept, press 1.
Well, hello, John D. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, long time no chit chat.
Howdy.
So it's good to hear from you. Good to see you again. What are you thinking on this case?
Well, from what I've heard, so I didn't catch the whole story because I came in a little late there. I'm sorry, but what I did catch was that a young child, about 7 years old, shot somebody on a couch or something like that.
He was asleep on his couch.
He was asleep on his couch.
Mm-hmm.
And how old was the boy on the couch, or the person on the couch?
32.
Sorry?
32.
30. Oh, so he shot a man.
He shot a man asleep
Okay, was
on
he
his own
related?
couch. No, it was a next door
No.
neighbor that had never even so much as spoken to the boy.
And so he just came into their house?
Yes. He left his
Wow.
house. He left his house. He went into the glove compartment of his grandfather's truck,
Mm-hmm.
got out his gun, snuck into the neighbor's house, and shot him while he was asleep on the couch in the head. And then put the gun back in the glove box of the grandfather's truck and went to bed.
And went to bed. And how did they know it was the actual boy who shot the neighbor?
He admitted to it and told him right down to the T, basically everything that happened.
Okay. And the grandfather got rid of the gun?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, the grandfather should be definitely charged with that. I mean, like concealing a homicide, getting rid of evidence, tampering with evidence. I mean, that's pretty solid evidence right there for conviction.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
You know?
I would agree.
Can you tell John D how this came out to the forefront?
As I've told you before in the past, I'm here in Canada, so our laws are obviously a little bit different, but I'm pretty sure in the States that if you're under 12, it's before they're an adult, so that's a juvenile crime. So, but
in the state of Florida, if you're not at least 10 years of age, you cannot be charged for any crime you commit.
So they never charged him for this crime, this boy?
Nothing. He can't be charged. There's nothing. Texas Penal Code says, I'll read it to you real quick. Texas Penal Code 8.07, age effective criminal responsibility. And then you've got section A, and then you got 1 through 5 are the violation codes. And then if you go down to section D, it says, notwithstanding subsection, a person may not be prosecuted for or convicted of an offense described by subsections A 4 through 5 that a person committed when younger than 10 years of age.
Okay.
So
I'm kind of
basically, it's
wondering.
saying a person may not be prosecuted for or convicted of an offense described
Right.
that they aren't 10.
I'm kind of wondering what the mental statutes are down there for mental incapacitation. The boy should obviously be institutionalized, at least for the time being. I mean, like, he did shoot somebody. He doesn't realize, obviously, what he's done. And if that's the case, then he needs to be put in some sort of facility to, to deal with this. I mean, at the very least.
Tell him what he has done that brought this to the forefront.
Yes. Do you know how? Do you know how he got? How his confession come about?
No, I'd like to hear that. Go ahead.
He was on a school bus with another student that obviously upset him, and he told the little boy that he was going to end his life like he did the man 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, this sounds like another Jeffrey Dahmer.
Doesn't it, though, in the making?
Yeah, well, it does. Because if it goes unchallenged or goes unchecked, all right, and they don't institutionalize this boy or get him mental, psychological help, at some point, this kid's just going to repeat it. And obviously, but what he just said to that other child on the bus confirmed what I just said.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's something that I don't know how it is in the States compared to Canada, but I mean, like, I think it's everywhere the same in the world. When it comes down to mental instability, parents who just don't give a rat's, what?
Mm-hmm.
Cahoot about their children and let them run wild. And, those sort of things are coming to fruition all over the world right now. Look what's happening on campuses right now. I mean, like,
absolutely.
It's crazy.
Well, you've got the boy that hit the cop in the back with his camera, and that's on video. You can actually see him take the camera off his shoulder and hit him in the back with the cop with it. But now they're not even going to prosecute that boy after the cop arrested him for assault and battery on a police officer, like he should have been.
Here's the thing: a lot of these kids today probably know the law better than the cops do.
and sadly, that's true. Sadly, that's true.
It's very sad, and the same goes here. If the kids can pull the string and pull the lever as far as they want, and they know they're going to get away with it, that's exactly what's going to happen, and that's what is happening. So it's an unfortunate situation all around the world. But I mean, and it doesn't seem like the political giants in Canada or the States or Britain or anywhere else are actually doing a lot to help people with mental instabilities. I mean, they're more what should I say, concerned about their gun rights than they are, than some kid pulling out a gun, shooting their neighbor, and going, oh well, that's life. People's safety.
It's this is. I mean, what we have here is a child that has absolutely no concern for human life. I mean, he's proven that. And now the public has been put in the situation that this child is not even going to be held accountable for this, to the point that the public is in danger just living near this kid.
No, somebody's got to stand up and do something. I'm not sure what a petition is really going to do in this case. I know you guys were talking about starting a petition, but I mean, what petition would you go for?
Change the law so that children under 10 years of age that commit capital offenses like this are held accountable for their crimes, at least held for 40 years.
Well, in my opinion, that's probably okay. But I mean, in my opinion, I think the parents should be held more accountable than the child.
Now, absolutely, I'm there with you. I believe that parents need held accountable for the actions of their children whenever if you can't prosecute the child because the child's too young, maybe we should start prosecuting the parents.
And then there was a case not too long ago. I think you all are aware of. I forget what it was. A kid, I think he was like, I don't know, 15 years old or something like that, went into a high school and shot everybody up. And he'd stolen their parents' gun, and their parents were very flagrant about their weapon safety, left the gun laying around the house or whatever. You know, the kid obviously knew where everything was, got access to the gun, shot a whole bunch of people, and the parents, you know, oh, well, so sad, my kid's going to jail, yada, yada. All right. Really didn't give a damn. And this is where they're at right now. Now they're both in jail.
Mm-hmm. The Crumblies.
Yeah. That was just recently.
Yes, the Crumblies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Crumblies. That's right. So, I mean, it is starting. And I know some people out there that watched Facebook and a lot of these interviews disagree with the parents being put in jail, but I totally agree with that one.
Here's the thing. If there is no accountability, and especially if other kids get wind of this, and it's been in the news now. It's been in the news now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Other children are going to catch wind of this. Well, we can do whatever we want. We're only 8, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Yep.
We can do whatever we want, and they
Kids aren't
can't
as
do
dumb as you
anything
think.
to us for it.
Yep.
What message are we sending to our children?
It's okay to do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good at all. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, though. I mean, like, there's a lot of cases out there where kids, you know, they just snap after being abused, and this doesn't seem to be the case.
No, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. It seems like this little boy was nurtured to the point that he was more than capable at 7 years old.
Yeah, 7 years old. I can't even imagine what that kid's going through. And he doesn't sound like he has much remorse if he threatened another kid on a bus.
Yeah.
So
no remorse
for me,
being threatened to end another human being's life.
Yeah, for me, that's a mental instability. That's similar to Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't even know what he was when he was a kid, right? And he grew up and he had all these internal feelings about killing and dissection of animals and the exhilaration of killing, and sure enough, you're going to take that to fruition, and he did. And you know,
I interject.
You want to? My wife would like to interject.
Hello.
Well, hello, Miss John.
Hello.
Miss D.
You can call her Shoo Shoo.
No, Cara.
Cara.
All right.
Well, hello, Cara. Good to have you.
Hello. I do have something to say. It's been proven that people that have no empathy, they have something wrong in their brain. And they did these studies with all the serial killers and murderers, and they found that they are incapable of empathy because there's something missing in their brains. So I'm thinking this child has the same problem.
So you think he's either a sociopath or a psychopath?
Something. If he doesn't have empathy, all right, and no regard for life, that means the boy has some kind of mental issue. They're born with it. It's not like they get it.
Yeah.
Brandy Dandy said, Sammy said she agrees. Brandy Dandy said, if you teach your child about guns, you have to teach them safety and respect for life. I think that's a very good point. What do you guys think?
It's absolutely 100%. Now, I'm not sure about what it's like in the U.S. because I didn't grow up in the U.S. But, I mean, when I was a kid, at 12 years old, I joined something called the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. And we have Army cadets, we have Sea cadets, we have Air cadets. And basically you go in and they teach you how to march, and they teach you how to do things in like meteorology and things of that nature. But one of the other things that we do is go on war games, and we go camping. We do war games. We're taught how to shoot guns, 303 rifles, and we're taught to use those in a safe environment by professionals who actually know what they're doing and can teach us at a young age how to respect a weapon. And the first thing I ever learned when I was in cadets, and I don't know if they do that the same way today, but I'm sure it's pretty similar, was my instructor at the time. Even though being 12, I understood it. If you ever point a weapon at another person, all right, you have the permission to punch him in the face. Now, that was something I'd never heard before, and I thought my parents would really freak out when they heard. But when I told them that, they said, "Do you know why he said that, son?" I said, "No, because you never, ever point a weapon at another person unless you intend to use it." All right? So, in other words, if another person's pointing a weapon at you, do anything you can to defend yourself.
Right.
That's still stuck in my head, all right? But at least somebody taught us how to shoot, how to respect a weapon, and the do's and don'ts of, in everyday life, and how you should respect other people, how they treat aggression, and how you treat using a rifle on another individual. You should respect the weapons and respect how the instructors who teach you. Mind you, I was 12 and that was back in the 70s, so I'm sure it's a lot more now. They have here you have to actually go for training to even own a hunting rifle. You have to go through a 12-week course, and once you've done that 12-week course, you can actually apply for your license. That's after you do the course. And then when you get your license, there's only certain times that you can do it. There's only certain ways you can transport the weapon. There's safety precautions. They have to be locked up in a safe with a combination, not a key.
That's what my father had.
That's right. And that's the safest way to keep your weapon. If you had your weapon stored in a glove compartment, okay, locked or not, I'm sorry, it's a car. There's an easy way to get them open. And obviously, this kid knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing when he got the weapon. He knew what he was doing when he shot the man next door. He knew what he was doing when he put the weapon back. And he knew what he was... Yeah, and then he went to sleep like nothing had happened. The kid has no empathy whatsoever. I'm sorry if that was me. God forbid that ever some shit. I wouldn't be going to sleep. I'd be running for my life.
I don't know about y'all, but me personally, you guys, if my child did something like this, I would have them committed into a mental institution indefinitely, because I would be terrified to go to sleep at night with the butter knife left in the house.
Yep. 100%. I don't think I've ever heard a story though of anybody under 10. I mean, of that age, 7 or 8 or whatever, shooting anybody. I've never heard of that.
Well, I've heard of it, but it's always cases where the child got hold of a weapon and accidentally shot someone because they didn't know what they were doing with it.
But not intentionally.
Right. And the
Well,
thing
the
about
6-year-old did shoot the teacher on purpose.
Well, yeah, there was a 6-year-old that shot his teacher on purpose. I mean,
that's right. That's right. I remember that one.
And as much as I hate to say it, because I don't want to feed the Karen community of the world.
No, please don't do that.
But I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but this really goes back to the desensitization of our children when we give them, and just hear me out for a minute. And I can't believe I'm going to this, because I was one of those kids that was like, no, video games are different. The difference in life and real life. But there's truth in the fact that it desensitizes our children.
Yes.
It completely desensitizes to where they don't have the empathy and the restraint and the respect that they should have for life. Because if you spend all day shooting people in a video game, and you know how graphic video games are now. They're graphic.
Oh, I do. And they're getting worse.
And but if you allow a child to participate and witness this kind of behavior consistently, it numbs them to it. They lose that empathy. They lose that little switch in your head that tells you that's a life that's valuable.
Yeah. It's Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, it's kind of like back in the day, I don't know about you or anybody else's family, but we used to sit down at the dinner table and we used to talk about stuff. We actually used to sit down at the table, have a meal. Parents wouldn't let you, leave that table until you were finished your meal, and but we'd talk. We'd actually talk. Our parents would actually talk to us. These days, I don't think there's a lot of that going on in a lot of households.
Most of us are so we let society teach our children. We let
Yep.
games teach our
MTV is their teacher.
children. And the thing is, a lot of us aren't keeping an eye on what others are teaching our children.
Yeah, and that's a sad fact. I mean, it really is a sad fact that family values all over the world have diminished because their parents are too hung up or too busy to deal with them, or to just organize their family matters in such a way that it encompasses the family, and family values. You want to say something?
Yes. I think one of the other reasons that the family does not know what their kids are doing is because life has become much more harder. Everything is so much expensive. All right. They have to work 2 or 3 jobs, both parents. They don't have time to raise their kids and sit with them.
Yeah.
That's true. That it's
And
a
they,
breakdown in society. Yes.
but
It
at
is.
that point,
And speaking of breakdowns in society, what about our political organizations? I don't see any of our prime ministers, presidents, or anybody else from around the world actually piping up and talking about these problems. They rather just sweep it under the carpet, pretend it didn't happen, and reward their rich buddies. So
You know what's going on? Everyone is so wrapped up in the 1% that they forget about the 99% out here. And that's as deep as I'm going to get with the politicals.
Yeah, I don't like going there either. It's just crazy. But I mean, at some point, your leaders, including mine, my own country, need to stand up and start showing some backbone about some of these problems that we're facing, and they just won't. They're too busy worrying about money and getting voted in and everything else. So,
Well, I feel like this is an unprecedented circumstance with this child, but I do feel like if they do not take this opportunity to make the changes that are necessary to be able to hold children accountable for their actions and their behaviors, then they are opening up a can of worms, and there is no hope for our future.
It's very true. But don't forget about the parents, because they're the ones who are responsible for teaching that. There's got to be some sort of rule or law that says if you don't teach your child and your child goes out and does something, you should really be held responsible. I mean, like if I taught my kid, oh, it's okay, son, take that gun out and start shooting around the woods without worrying about what's around you. Somebody gets hit. Whose fault's that? The kid or the family or the parents?
Right.
In my opinion, it's the parents.
I agree. Most of the time it is the parents. I do agree that there are these circumstances, like, and I don't want to say too much about it, but my husband had a brother that was completely out of control. And it didn't matter what his parents did to try to get him under control until it took years and years and years, and until he had to actually face consequences for his actions. He didn't change. He did whatever he wanted.
See, I hate to say this, but I was one of those kids.
Oh, no.
Oh, I was. My wife knows quite well. I was a hazard. I was Dukes of Hazzard on wheels when I was like from 5 till 12. All right. And actually, the Air Cadets are the ones who really changed me around that way. Tamed me. But I was pretty, oh man, I would not want to be my dad. I really wouldn't. And once you get to that age, you get older, you think back about all the stupid and dumb things you did, you just kind of bang yourself in the head and go, why did I do that? Why didn't I listen? Or, that, yeah. nor here nor there. That's how I was when I was a kid. I was just a rotten apple, and but some rotten apples, they get fermented and they turn into a good drink. I'm humbled. Let's put it that way.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you changed your ways.
Oh yeah.
And kudos to you. Kudos to you for doing that. And um, as it sounds, you have a lovely wife and are living life to the fullest now, uh, and have um, become a productive member of society. So hats off to
Well,
you.
I don't know what productive. We'll see about that this year. We just moved to New Brunswick from Toronto, and we opened up our cabins here. So, I mean, we just spent 2 years renovating cabins, and hunters and other people are now booking in. So we're actually going to be heading up to our camp lodge in tomorrow or the next day, depending on the weather here. And it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy summer. At least I hope it's going to be a crazy summer.
What's the link? What's the link for people to rent your cabins? Do you got one yet?
No, not yet. I only have a Facebook link. I could send you that.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll share it, and I'll even share it on my Twitter and where else, and see if we can't get you some business going. It's always good to see someone.
We're getting there. Airbnb is doing its job.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And yes, congratulations to you for starting your own business, for, and they say, when you're a child, you do childish things. Congratulations to you for growing up. And I am praying that your business is flourishing, and you guys, congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you for taking my call, and hopefully we don't have much internet back up in the cabins. I can still catch your show, but the cell phone service there is like a no-go.
But at least this call is not going to cost him anything.
Yeah. The last time I called you, I called you on my regular phone, and I forgot I didn't have a USA long distance plan. I was like,
oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. I
I'm
got
so
the bill
sorry.
at the end of the month, and I was like, who the heck is that? I was like, oh yeah, that's my dad.
Well, I'm so glad you called in, and I'm so glad you have a calling plan now, so it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to call. Long
That's
distance
it.
rates are insane high. So, whew.
All right, guys.
And it
Love
was
you
so
guys.
good hearing from
Everybody
you.
on the chat, take care.
Thank you for
I look
calling.
forward to chit-chatting. I'm being there for a while still. And
Yes.
you all have a good night, and I look forward to talking to you again later on. Okay? Bye-bye.
Bless you, John and Cara. Bye-bye.
Great call.
Great call. Great call.
Thank you, John D. and Cara.
Yes. I think he had some very valid points. What do you guys
You're
think about holding
echoing.
the
You're echoing.
Okay, hold on. Am I still echoing?
No.
Yes. I'm echoing for someone else. I'm echoing through Kelkel.
I don't hear an echo.
Okay, let me test something. Hold on. There. How about I turn my volume down? Is that better?
You sound good to me.
Okay.
You're good here.
All right, the phone lines are open, you guys. Give us a call at 870-266-6949. We look forward to hearing your call. What do you guys think about what John? I'm still echoing through Kelkel. Hold on a second.
You're echoing.
Okay. So what do you got? Now I'm echoing? Now I'm not echoing. Okay, I'll unmute you in just a second, Kelkel, because I want to hear your take on this, but I'll talk first. That way I can ask the question. What do you guys think about what John said about holding the parents accountable whenever children that are not of age do stuff like this? What's your ladies' take on that? Kelkel, you can unmute. You guys.
Am I echoing?
Yeah, but it's okay. Go ahead.
It's probably my phone. What's my take on what John D was saying?
About the parents being held accountable.
I agree. And I know even in chat, I saw Lo mention too, even the fact that where was Grandpa when the 7-year-old was just missing, in addition to what happened. Um, I I don't know that we don't know enough about the story to know if Grandpa was watching him that night or what the situation was. But I guess if he was the one responsible for him that night, that would be my question.
I totally agree. I mean, the adults have to be adulting here. Somebody needs to be looking out for these kids, what they're doing, who they are, who they become, everything. It matters. These days,
That's
I understand people have to work a lot more and a lot harder, and nobody can be there for their kids 24/7, and I get that. But this is very, very, very serious, and this is becoming dire for our children.
it's becoming dire for all of us. I mean, a 32-year-old man was asleep in his bed. The only good news about it is he went in his he went pe- I wouldn't say peacefully, but he was asleep. At least he didn't have that fear of knowing it was coming. But this is horrible. This is horrible.
He didn't even have a chance to defend himself.
Not even. You guys don't forget to follow Crystal. Uh, you guys don't forget to follow Crystal on X https://twitter.com. What is true? 207. Oh, I think kill. And don't forget to follow Sammy on Twitter, on X, previously Twitter. https dot or colon//twitter.com/Sammy GILLISPIE Sam Gillespie 6. Follow Kill on Twitter. https twitter.com/KelKills78. That's KELKELZ 78. And don't forget to follow Low12 on Twitter. Follow Low12 on X, twitter.com/Low12True Crime. Yes, John D., that was a great call. Thank you so much for calling in. If anyone else would like to call in, the phone number is 870-266-6949. And was there anything else you ladies wanted to add to that?
No, I agree. Um, I think they need to be accountable for their child, grandchild. But I also think that he also needs to take accountability because I don't feel like he has any empathy, like I said, um, because he did it again. So, and he felt no sorrow. But what I was saying earlier, again with his metabolic system, I mean, one of the main contributors for people that are perfectly fine and then they can just act completely not normal would be looking at his thyroid, because your thyroid can really throw your whole metabolic system into a crazy spin, a tailspin, and you wouldn't actually act that way if it was normal. I'm not saying that's what it is, but usually with the 72-hour holds, they do a metabolic test to see where a person's levels are.
Yes. I agree that it can cause us to have aggression and stuff, but at the same time, there are so much better ways to get rid of excessive energy from aggression. Working out, um, finding a hobby to calm yourself, I mean, but then again, I guess you have to be taught alternative, productive, beneficial to yourself and other methods of dealing with your aggression. So it all comes down again to what you're being taught.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
don't know.
I agree with John Dee's wife that there are ways for them to be able to tell when there is sociopathy or psychopathy, and when they do a brain scan or if you get pictures of your brain, and they can tell if your every section of your brain is proportioned the way that it should be. That's an indicator, like the frontal cortex would be depleted, it would be smaller, and this is where I believe they were saying that this is where your empathy comes from, is the prefrontal cortex, and they can tell by the size of that if you're lacking the empathy. Um, Typically, when they've done these brain scans, pictures of brains of certain individuals who have committed murders, a lot of the time their prefrontal cortex is shrunken, is smaller than it should be, or diminished.
Hey, John, I didn't see it post in the chat, the link. You might have to email it to me. Oh, another caller, you guys.
Call from
Lisa Hamilton.
Well, hello, Lisa. Welcome to the show.
This is Nana Dragonfly.
Well, hello, Nana. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, beautiful?
I didn't know I had to put my other name out there. It's okay. If everybody knows I'm Lisa, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
Hello.
I joined in kind of late, so I have some questions.
The
And
panel says hello.
I feel like I have an echo.
No, you're
Can you
fine.
all?
You don't have an echo.
It's okay. I hear it on my end, and I'm okay. I have everything off. So this child, they just brushed it off, or is he in any kind of child custody to where they're trying to get him some mental health? I just have a question about that.
Well,
I
low
think,
12 says
yeah,
he is in psychiatric care.
Okay. Sorry, I'm eating my dinner, so I'm trying not to crunch.
No, you're fine.
No, okay, that makes me feel better, because what I was listening to, I was worried that this child, because you got to think about this. Okay, so he walks into a neighbor's house and shoots them.
Mm-hmm.
What possessed him to do that? They need to find this out. I
He
mean, did
told
that
the
neighbor?
cops, the little boy told the police he had watched the neighbor all day and thought about it.
But what possessed him to do that? A child just doesn't just do this off of the whim.
The little boy,
Something
he told
has
the police
happened.
officers, he told the police officers that the neighbor had never even said a word to him.
I understand that. But this neighbor could be something that triggered him from his past.
That's true. And that's a very good
And
question.
yeah, that's where I'm kind of going with this, because this child needs some help. I mean, definitely needs some help. And I was glad that you said that he is getting some help, because a child just doesn't do that off of the whim. And I know that there's a lot of games out there that they're watching and things like that. If that's the case, then that needs to be brought out also. But for someone just to do this, just because, it's not normal. So I guess that's just where I was going. And I'll let
Agreed.
your other callers call in. I just wanted, because I came in late and I just wanted to know where this child's mindset is.
Well, I can tell you where it is now.
Well, yeah, he's
I
he's
mean,
scared as shit. I mean, he's scared as crap. You
is he
know,
though? I mean, maybe now that he's, been arrested for the threats that he made, he might be afraid of repercussions from that. But he wasn't afraid when he was threatening another child that he was going to do the same thing to him.
no, I didn't mean it that way. I just
Oh,
meant
okay. Well, I mean,
he's a child and he's scared now. You know, does that make it any better? No. You know, but I guess I just want to know what was going on in his head. Like I said, I've worked in children therapy for 40 years, and there had to be some reason he did this. And hopefully they will find out. And maybe his case will bring out some insight to other parents. I hate that this had to happen to bring out insight, but this is something that most parents might think about. Okay, then I need to think about this, or I need to do something a little bit different. I really hope that they do figure out what was in his head when he did that. Just my
me too.
just
Me
my
too.
opinion, and I love you, Regina.
I love you too, Nana. It is so good to hear your voice. It is so good to hear your voice.
Well,
I mean,
just know that I'm always thinking about you. You're just such a wonderful friend. Thank you.
aw.
That's
Well, the same to
nice.
you. I still catch you. I haven't been able to be in chat and stuff because I've had so much going on, um, with real life, and I've had so much going on. I haven't been able
It's
to
all
really
good.
talk much and chat and stuff. But I've been watching you, on panel and stuff. So I haven't missed a single beat watching you on Brittany's panel and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I've had some things going on too, so I cut out a couple days. But it's just we have things in life that just kind of throw us for a loop, and you have to take care of it. And that's what I'm saying. If these parents had something that went on in their life, they needed to take care of it. Bottom line, you know. And another thing I want to say is any parent out there listening right now, if you have any kind of firearms in your car, in your house, or whatever, they need to be locked behind a safe. You just never know what your children are going to do. And I 100% support that.
Yeah,
They need to be locked up.
yes, you have
And
to
my daughter
keep
has them
guns.
to protect her, but all of them are locked behind safe, and those kids don't even have any idea how to get into that. And that's the way it should be.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. I will let you go. I know you have other people that want to come in, but I was just late to the ball, and I just wanted to find out what was going on. I'll get back in chat. Love you.
Love you too, Nana. Thank you for calling. I appreciate you so much. And I think you have some very good and valid points. I really do.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a mental
Gun
health
safety
issue.
is one of them.
Yeah, gun safety is one, and I think it's a mental health issue, and it needs to be figured out so that it can help other people and other parents that are going through this that don't realize it. And some parents don't care, but shame on them. If you care about your kids, listen to what this outcome is, and you might find out some answers. Okay.
Thank you for
Love you.
calling.
Bye.
Thank you for calling, Nana. We love you.
You're very welcome. Love you too. Bye.
Listen, sweetie. Bye. Great call. What do you guys think?
Oh, it was a great call. She's right on about the gun safety and protecting and locking up your firearms. And I agree. I believe it's a mental health issue. I I think though, I think he was born that way. I mean, it's hard to say because like I'm a person that looks at mannerisms and responses and facial um uh And it's hard, but like the reports from what they're releasing, where he just came out with it, the fact that he put the gun back, went home, went to bed, never said a word about it, and then he goes on to threaten another child. There's no remorse, no sorrow, no consequence. So the ability for him to um reoffend is high, unless they figure out and can understand why he did it. And even then, I don't think I will understand.
I do want to say that Lo posted something, I believe it was Lo, in regards to the family, and apparently the father of the man that was killed said that the boy is forgiven. And I understand
Yes.
where they're coming from with that. I get it. I do. But this child really needs a lot of help. Um, they need to figure out what is going on in his head and make sure that this is not a major defect going on in his head, or is this learned behavior that failed him because he did not understand the full impact of what was going to happen if he did this. Not just punishment, but I'm talking about the taking of a life, because now he is sitting with that, but he does need help. I agree with Nana.
Yes. And unless he gets help, there's no help for society at this point. And unless the laws change, I mean, something's got to be done, you guys. Something's got to be done about this. And tonight I
Parents
am going to
need to
set
be
up.
accountable.
Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling I'm going to end up writing 2 different petitions tonight. And for those of you who know, starting a petition is one thing, but follow through is the most important thing on a petition. A lot of people start petitions and they just don't bring the follow through with the petition, taking it to legislation leader to the leaders, taking it to the governor, and keeping after it, because one post usually doesn't get noticed. It takes actually moving forward with a petition after you get the signatures. So I'll be setting up a petition tomorrow, and I'll make a short and post the links and everything in the petition. And John, I'm in my email right now. Um, I haven't gotten one yet, but I
Did you
am
check
looking
your
for it.
spam?
Yeah, I checked my spam box too. Let's check it again.
Because sometimes it go, an unknown will go there. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I'm not seeing it. Um, it's not my inbox yet. But as soon as I
And
get
all I
it, I
have
will
to
post it.
say to parents out there is prevention is key. And honestly, had that gun been truly locked up like mine are in a safe, this could have been prevented.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
Possibly.
obviously, obviously this child had knowledge of how to gain access to it.
It could have possibly prevented it from happening, but again, if he was determined to do it, he could have done it with anything.
And then that's where I say this. If you have children out there, I don't care how much you got to work. You need to get to know your kids. You need to spend time with your kids. And I'm sorry, but if your job can't understand that, you need a different job. Seriously, for real. You need to be a part of your children's lives, because that's what's going to tip you off that something isn't right and get that child help.
Yes. Yes. You as a parent, take responsibility for your children. Don't sweep little weird things that you know are little weird things under the rug. Don't do it. Don't get me wrong, our children are perfect, but they're exposed to things. If we're not there with them all hours and all the time, which we can't be, They're exposed to things, and be careful what you expose your children to, but limit what the world exposes them to. Limit their access to the world.
Right.
And if you notice
Well,
something going on with your child like this,
you
for the
can
sake,
catch it early.
yes,
Get them some help. Help them to learn, and to cope if something is going on in their head. There's a lot of help out there, but it takes time and it does take a lot of work and effort, but you've got to why have children if you're not going to be there for your child? You have children, look at your kids. Look at them right now and think about this. How active are you in their life? How much time, quality time, do you actually spend with your child? And how much do you know your child? Just how well do you really know your children? Because they need
they're
you. They're not adults yet. It's time to mold them.
right. Yes. So, but right now, the thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start focusing on these laws. Now that we know there's a problem, it's time to identify the problem and start working on a resolution to it. So, I'm going to be working on petitions tonight for that. And I think that honestly, we have to get rid of this ideology that children are incapable of committing these kind of crimes, because that is the reason there is no penal code and no action or charges to be taken against them. We aren't holding them accountable. But that means that we're also not holding the parents accountable too. And
Well,
when we're
the
not
other,
holding anyone accountable for this kind of behavior and these kind of actions, what's that saying to everyone else?
well, and to be honest with you too, parents, your children, if they are doing weird and odd things that you don't think are normal, it's your responsibility to talk to them and try to help them because um, that's our job. And you're not doing them any good by avoiding a conversation or avoiding something weird that you know isn't right. I mean, sometimes love is hard, but the children deserve that. They deserve for their parents to be like, well, because otherwise they're just gonna get older and they're gonna be a medicine to the society. If they're not taught, like, no, this isn't right. Why are you doing this? It's not just
Well, people
about
are so
condemning people and it's about, well, why? Why did you do this? Why? You have to ask why. What made you think it was okay? If you want to know the problem, I mean, because a lot of parents are just like busy and they just react. Don't do that, and don't even give it a second thought. But it's easy to say don't do something, but it's better to know why they're doing it. What's going on upstairs? So I just tell people not to ignore it. And it doesn't mean you are picking on your kid or you love your kid less. It actually shows me that you love your kid more because you are addressing these things, you know? But that's just my opinion.
yes. Well, discipline, and I'm not talking about abuse, I'm talking about discipline, is something that we need to practice with our children. Okay. And we also have to focus on positive reinforcement. It's a balance. It's a balance game with children. But we also have to get to know our children. Who was interacting with this little boy whenever he was sitting there, like he told the cops, watching him all day planning this out? Was there no distraction? Was there no supervision? Was there no one for him to talk to? I mean, what? And again, those are questions that we're never going to get answered. But I think that we can do better by our children, and I think we can do better by each other. And I think that the first stand is to change the law. Because as long as it stands that a child can do whatever, because parents are not always going to be there. You know, I had my dad tell me, don't do these things, don't do these things. Whenever I'd ask why, he'd tell me, well, it's against the law or it's just not right. Don't do that. That's bad. You know, you're going to hurt somebody or you're going to hurt yourself, or, you know, it could hurt somebody or you could hurt yourself. Like, he told me, he taught me right from wrong. And he's still the voice in my head, like my conscience, if you will. You know, whenever we're having those, oops, I shouldn't have those thoughts, he's like the voice in my head that tells me, you know better than that. You know what I mean? So, and it was a good thing to have his love and his guidance. But there are parents out here that are not going to give their children that love and that guidance. So I think that the laws need to change, because if we as parents aren't going to hold our children responsible, then we're going to have to be held responsible for not holding them responsible. Does that make sense? Yeah, the
Yeah.
children are going to have some accountability. I mean, the children are going to have some accountability. Why shouldn't you do this? Well, do you want to spend the next 40 years in prison? What's prison? Bad place with bad people that'll do the same things that you do to other people to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, should we not hold our youth accountable? Because you got to think about it. It's not just what they can do to us now. What are they going to do to everyone else later when we're no longer around? Children are not just a burden. Children are not just a mouth to be fed. Children are our future. They are our legacy. And what are your children representing? They're representing you when they're out in public. They're representing you when you do these things. They're a reflection of you, your children are. So I'm with John, but I'm also with the law has to change and children have to be held accountable. But the parents have to be accountable too. So, any final thoughts? Oh, I'm still waiting on it, John. I'm looking. Let me refresh it. Not yet. Okay, let's try my spam. Oh, I got it. All right, everyone. If you would love to rent one of John's cabins, and I would love to, I might have to save up a little bit for that. Bit of a journey. But here is John's link, our awesome caller. There we go. Check out his link, check out his cabins. Maybe get you a little vacation in with the family. And you can find out about it all on this link I just posted. All right, ladies, we've been on for 2 hours. Let's give it some final thoughts. And you know what? I didn't even prepare a funny video for today. I haven't got a funny crime video prepared. So while y'all are giving final thoughts, I will do that. What do y'all have to say?
I hope the boy gets help. I hope that they can get a better understanding of what's going on with him and that he is able to be rehabilitated. I definitely think that he needs to be, at the very least, in a juvenile facility for mental health, because they would only be asking for trouble if he's not held responsible. I think we need more facts to know when the gun was pawned. I'd like to know about how many people were in the park when it happened. I don't know. It's just really sad. It's a sad thing. I feel bad for Brandon Raspberry's family. And I understand that they want to forgive because that's a lot of anger and hate that they don't want to have for a 7-year-old child. I mean, nobody wants to hate a 7-year-old child. But they're right. The laws need to change. And I hope that they can do something to maybe do it case by case. I don't know. I'm just left flabbergasted by this whole case. So for me, once again, share a smile, save a life, including your own. Because when you make someone else smile, you make your own soul smile.
All right, you guys, I found up a juicy little nugget for you. Cleanse our palates with before we get out of here for the day. We have a criminal. Well, it doesn't have any. Yeah,
overconfident.
Here we go.
Check out this guy. Overconfident. He decides to rob the store and the customer. He stupidly lays his gun on the counter. The clerk snatches the weapon. The thief realizes his mistake, but it's too late. The thief is chased out of the store by his own gun. Not exactly the stuff criminals are made of. Maybe this guy should keep his day job.
Yeah.
Melbourne, Florida. This robber has a different approach. No guns or knives. Just grab the register and run. Not a bad idea, if you remember to unplug it. The robber struggles, giving the clerk time to grab a bat. The robber has no choice but to drop the machine and run. Check out this guy.
Let's do that one more
Overconfident.
time.
He decides to rob the store and the customer. He stupidly lays his gun on the counter. The clerk snatches the weapon. The thief realizes his mistake.
Wait, what
too
did I
late.
just do?
The thief is chased out of the store by his own
By his
gun.
own
Not
gun.
exactly the stuff career criminals are made of.
Like he forgot it was a gun.
Day job. Melbourne, Florida. This robber has a different approach. No guns
Hey,
or
man,
knives.
you
Just
gotta
grab the
unplug it.
register and run. Not a
Oh,
bad
my
idea.
Lord, have mercy.
If you remember to unplug it. The robber struggles, giving the clerk time to grab a bat. The robber has no
bat.
choice but to drop the machine and run.
Run.
Well, he laid that gun down just like it was a drink and he forgot.
I'm dead. That's hilarious. All right, you guys. All right, Crystal.
All right.
I think we got
Thank
it.
y'all
What do you
for
guys
being
think?
here.
Thank you. Have a good night, ladies.
Nighty
Yes.
night.
Stay safe.
Thanks for being here, ladies. Thank you for being here, Kel. Thank you for being here, Sammy. Thank you for being here, What is True. Thank you to all of the callers and everyone who joined us tonight. Yeah, he was sprint running, wasn't he? Oh, that was a good little laugh. You guys, as always, stay vigilant and lock your doors. And always be kind to one another. Even the smallest smile can change someone's day. It can even save a life. Just a simple act of kindness. And with that said, you guys, blessings and good night. Thank you for being here, by the way. Hit that thumbs up on your way out.